Why do you risk death? For me, this is life.
Welcome to New York. Anything to declare?
I'm going to hang a high wire between the two towers of the World Trade Center and work on it.
Good luck.
嗨，大家好，我是周玲安 Betty。现在啊，我就是在美国加州这个洛杉矶，在我身后呢就是世纪城的南塔啊，非常高。等一下呢，我将要在这栋楼的顶楼。This is really tall。我等一下呢要在顶楼来采访我非常优秀、很喜欢的演员，叫做约瑟夫·高登·莱维特。咱们中国观众呢很喜欢叫他囧瑟夫。来听听他跟我聊他的最新电影《云中行走》，一起去看一看吧。跟我一起来临安对话好莱坞 ，Talking to Hollywood with Betty Zhou。Let's go。现在呢，我就是在美国的洛杉矶，站在我身边的就是大帅哥囧瑟夫。
Hi, I'm 作素夫。
So cute. That's very good.
Okay. And I heard you say ni hao at the beginning of it.
Yes, ni hao.
That's the only Chinese I really know.
Wow, your Chinese pretty good.
Yeah, thanks.
Anyway, good to see you in person.
Good to see you. Pleasure to meet you.
And also, you did some French accent in this movie.
Yeah.
I need you to help me pull this off. I got just the guys.
Now it starts.
How did you do that?
Well, I've always loved the French language, and I've worked really hard to just get it down. And I was working with real French actors, and so they helped me very much.
So this whole interview will be in French.
Et tu parles pas français?
Oh my God, bye-bye.
Alors.
Okay, talk about this movie, The Walk.
Yeah.
I watched it yesterday. It's intense and amazing. So,
I'm glad you liked it.
yes, I love it very much. And talk about the director, Robert Zemeckis.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite directors of all time. It was a real honor for me to get to work with him. What's interesting is even though he's so accomplished, he's very humble. And you could think that someone who is as good a director as he is would come on set and just say, you do this, you do this, you do this. But he's very collaborative, and he asks lots of questions, and he's very eager to hear other people's opinions. And I just found that so striking for someone like him to have that humility.
Cutting.
And talk about this movie. For those who don't know, this is actually a real story, right?
It's a true story about a man named Philippe Petit. He had this dream, and even though the dream seemed impossible, he was obsessed with making it happen. And his dream was to hang a high wire between the two towers of the World Trade Center in New York City and walk on this high wire. Now, we're on a building here in Los Angeles that's pretty high up. And in fact, I think these two buildings were built by the same architect as that built the Twin Towers in New York.
It looks a little bit similar.
It does, yeah, they're similar, but these towers are much, much smaller. We're like 40 stories up right now, but the World Trade Center is 110 stories, so almost three times higher than this.
Oh my.
Yeah, and the distance between this tower and that tower is also, it's about 3 times the distance.
Oh.
So they had to manage to get a high wire. And by the way, this was all illegal. They did not have permission to do it.
The police weren't happy about that.
Yeah, so it's like they're robbing a bank, except instead of trying to steal money, they're trying to do a brilliant work of art.
Your so-called coup is a ridiculous joke.
He had a whole band of collaborators, this whole team of friends of his, and they had been planning it for years. And they each snuck up in disguises, some on this tower and some on that tower. And the ones on that tower, they brought a bow and arrow.
I'll figure out how to get the wire across.
He shot the bow and arrow with fishing line attached to it from one building to the next. And then they managed to, bring the fishing line, and then they attach a rope to the fishing line, and they can pull the little rope, and then they attach a heavier rope, and they can pull that. And eventually they attach a steel cable, which weighed 450 pounds. The cable's like this, about this thin, and they rigged it across, and that's what he walked on.
I think we should wait.
No! Now, the actual walking was me and a double. An excellent wire walker named Jade.
Okay.
And I did a lot of the wire walking, but also Jade did a lot of the wire walking.
So how did you prepare yourself for the wire walk?
Well, first I learned from Philippe.
Try to look ahead and find a point.
He taught me how to walk on the wire, you know, because I actually got to know Philippe very well. He wanted to be the one to teach me how to do
For
it.
example, your feet were walking the right way in the last crossing. It was a superb crossing.
Okay.
And he planned this elaborate workshop for 8 days straight we spent together. And he said, by the end of these 8 days, you will learn to walk on a wire. And I said, 8 days? That seems quick.
Yeah, it's a short time.
But he was so positive and encouraging. And he was right. By the end of the 8 days, I could do it. I would hold the pole. And
It's heavy, right?
Yeah, it's heavy, yeah. Once you learn how to balance with the pole, though, all that weight, you learn to kind of balance it against. If you're falling this way, you just move the pole that way.
Oh,
And it's almost like riding a bicycle,
okay.
that you just kind of learn how to balance with the pole.
Good work. Okay.
Before this movie, were you afraid of heights, like this height? Or...
Like this height?
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't want to necessarily like stand up
there.
on this.
Yes.
Whereas Philippe would have no problem. Philippe would just stand up on this right now. What I learned about fear of heights is it's really not mental. It's something beyond your control. It's emotional, it's in your body. So when we were shooting the movie, I was up on a wire that was 12 feet in the air. Even though I know in my head nothing bad can happen, if I fall, the safety line will catch me, it didn't matter. I was still terrified, just my body would tense up. It's just instinct. But over time, I got used to it.
The World Trade Center.
Speaking to Philippe or to Jade, they would say if you want to learn how to walk on a high wire that's really high up there, you have to just go and sit up there and just be up at the height and spend hours and just get your body used to being up there. And over time, your body acclimates.
And also in the movie, I remember he said, it's only me and the wire.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's so much about focus. It's similar to acting in that way. When you're acting, you know, there's all this stuff around you, this big mess of a crew and lights and cameras, etc. And if you think about all those things, you won't be able to give a good performance.
Yes.
You have to be able to just ignore all that and just focus on, like I said, the one thing. And that's what wire walking is like too. If you think about the fact like, oh wow, I'm really high up and I hope I don't fall, and you can't think about any of that. You just focus your eyes on the end of the wire. That's where you're supposed to do it.
This is extremely illegal, not to mention dangerous.
Is that a helicopter?
Really?
We're at the same height as a
Wow,
helicopter.
we're tall right now.
Yeah.
Hi.
When you go up to the World Trade Center, because you know, I was lucky enough, I got to go to the top of the World Trade Center a long time ago. And I remember being up there and it was like being in the sky. It didn't even feel like being on top of a building because the clouds are below you.
Oh.
And a thing like a helicopter like that is below you. And you're up on this building looking down and it feels like you're in the sky.
Why do you think he will take a risk, to do that?
Yeah, that's a
It's
good
very
question.
scary.
Why? After he actually did it, a news reporter asked him, why did you do this? And he says, there is no why. He's just said, when I see somewhere beautiful to hang my high wire, I can't resist. And I asked him about it. He had something really interesting to say. He said, I'm an artist, and it's not my place to say what my art means. That's for everybody to interpret for themselves. It's for me to just do something that I think is beautiful and follow my own vision. And that's what he did. He didn't listen to what anybody else said, even though everyone was saying, how could you possibly do this? You're crazy, this is impossible, you can't do it. He wouldn't listen and he did it.
This isn't a game, Philippe. One mistake out there, and you're going to die.
And also, I noticed you have a Weibo account.
Yeah, that's true. I need someone to help me translate the tweets into Chinese, because
I
I
can do
can't.
that.
You can do that?
Yeah.
That would be great.
But we're gonna take a selfie and become friends.
That's
How
the
about
payment?
that?
Okay.
Okay, deal.
Yeah, no problem. God.
I think this movie, The Walk, will be a big hit.
Oh, thank you.
In China too.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so.
All right, this is Talking to Hollywood with Zhou Sefu and Zhou Lingan. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Thank you so much for being
Thank
on our
you.
show. That's wrap. Thank you. 哇，约瑟夫呢真的是一个非常好的采访者，同时呢也是一个非常有才华的青年演员。那《云中行走》这部电影呢，也是大家绝对不能错过的一部佳片。它可是由奥斯卡得主 Robert Zemeckis 所执导的。OK， 大家一定要去电影院收看哦。All right， 我是 Betty 周林安，这里是 Talking to Hollywood with Betty Zhou， 林安对话好莱坞 ，Let's go。